Okay, take 3. Good morning, guys. Today we're going to do a little history lesson and a little clarification lesson. Today we're going to talk about the militia, the 3 percenters, and what the hell they are, and what legally they are defined as, and historically. So, historically, when the American Revolution happened, because the colonies in the United States did not have a standing army, the militia was activated. What is a militia? State law, the U.S. Code defines a militia as able-bodied men and women between the ages of 16 and 45 as citizens or desiring to become citizens. And pretty generic. So, this is where the 3 percenters legend comes from also. The legend is that only 3% of the colonists stood with the militia to overthrow the British, which is a pretty low number, but hey, it was enough. It took us a while to do it, but hey, you did it. Interesting enough that until World War I, the United States did not have a paid-for standing military. We were a militia country. We had cavalries and stuff like that, and forts and stuff like that, but we were all militia. The modern military, in which you are conscripted and basically sign away all of your rights as U.S. citizens, and you become basically the property of the U.S. government and our military might and our, therefore you are our military. But the militia, being a purely volunteer organization, you keep your rights. You have the right to say no. You have the right to not do something. You have the right to do whatever you want. You are still United States citizens and still have the right to do as you will. The U.S. Code defines the militia as 2 different entities. A organized militia, which is our state and national guards, and unorganized militias, which are basically former and current military, like-minded citizens, and former and current law enforcement in an organization to promote the safety of America and defend her. So, TSM and other militaries like militias like the Oath Keepers fall under unorganized militias. They are volunteer. Volunteer. You do not sign away your rights to join the TSM or any of the militias. Militias are military-esque. They have ranks, they have structure, they have rules, they have regulations, they have formal declarations of what they are and what they do. Interesting enough, the TSM was actually activated during the Harvey disasters to help with disaster relief and saving people and stuff. The TSM and the Texas and the militias can be activated by the governor. Again, if you've got your own shit to do, you ain't got to go help nobody. If TSM is activated, you ain't got to go help whatever they're doing. It is not mandatory. But also interesting enough, that Texas state law prohibits unorganized militias from organizing and parading with weapons throughout the populace, meaning we don't go to parades. We don't, you don't see TSM at protests. You don't see TSM at the Macy's Day Parade or the Thanksgiving Parade in Houston, stuff like that. Well, interesting enough, INFACT is actually declares themselves as a militia. They call themselves INFACT, a not fucking around coalition, but technically they are a militia. They march, they dress alike, they take orders, they kinda march, but they are armed. Guess what? The reason why you don't see INFACT in Texas, he keeps saying, oh, I'm going to come to Texas, I'm going to come to Texas. It is against the Texas state code for them to do the shit that they do here in Texas. So if they show up with 200 plus, people all blacked out with the guns, they gonna get arrested. It's against the law here to do that shit. Boom. So that is the main difference between a militia and the military. 3%ers. Now, 3%ers are the people who don't fit in with the militia. Be it either they have, criminal records, they have personality defects, they have something else that they just cannot get into the militia. And the militias do vet using these almost the exact same vetting systems that, whenever you go get a handgun, stuff like that. If you have an LTC, which means that you've had a criminal background check done, that generally helps, speed you up to getting into the militias. Because you have had a criminal background check done, and you have, been found, responsible by the government to own a handgun or a gun. So here's where the 3%ers are. 3%ers are pseudo-military-esque. They don't like the rules and regulations of the military. They don't like the rules and regulations so much of the militia. They're a little looser, a lot looser. Some rank structure, if any, and stuff like that. There's usually a head, and that's about it. And they train, at least some of them do. They meet. They're almost like a gun club. They get together. They go shoot. They train, but they're more gun club / Minutemen. They're just a lot of what the 3%ers are redefining themselves as is this new term, a MAG, a Mutual Assistance Group. Everybody knows the 3%ers, as well as some militias and stuff like that, are getting a bad rap in the press and in politics. So they're kind of trying to redefine themselves. Now this MAG works pretty good. It is a fairly good definition of what they are. Mutual assistance groups. They're kind of like your family outside of the house, kind of like a church group, kind of like church group with guns, I guess. They come and they help you whenever something bad happens. They'll come help you tow your vehicle, stuff like that. They're just good old boys. So they're kind of like a gun club. They're a mutual assistance group. And that's pretty much what it is. So you kind of got 3-4 stages of, you got 3%ers here at the bottom. That's the vetting is kind of loosey-goosey. Some are a little more stringent, some are not. It's a little easier to get in. You kind of got to know somebody to know somebody to know somebody to do it. And, as long as you know that guy or girl and they're, not, cuckoo crazy, you let them in. Because they're interested in, prepping and being ready in case something happens. Well, you have the militias. Militias are, fairly strict. They've got governmental ties in the fact that the government knows who they are. They can activate them. The governor of the state of Texas can activate the militias if need be. But again, it's volunteer. If, Greg Abbott comes up and says, hey, TSM, I need you to do blankety, 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 blankety. You ain't got to do it. And the whole unit doesn't have to even activate. It's activate at their own discretion. So if Greg Abbott wants us to do something that we don't want to do as a whole, we ain't got to do shit. We are not conscripted military. We are unorganized militia. If he wants something done, he calls the state guard or the National Guard or whatever, those are conscripted soldiers. So, but I hope that helps out with what you guys want to know. Yep, that's pretty much it. Stay frosty, and I'll catch you on the flip side.